The white earbuds sat on the conference table between us, perfectly still, like they were innocent. They weren't. The room was quiet enough that I could hear the air vent clicking on and off above my head, a low mechanical hum, familiar, comforting, almost. I'd spent most of my life around sounds like that, machines breathing, systems working the way they were supposed to. Across from me, Lauren kept talking. Her voice was fast, defensive, sharp around the edges. Words tumbled out of her mouth like she was trying to outrun something. I wasn't listening anymore, not really. All I could see were the earbuds. Cheap white plastic, smudged with fingerprints. The left one had a faint scratch near the stem. I remembered noticing that scratch when I first opened the box. Remembered thinking it probably happened during shipping. 3 days earlier, I'd smiled when I saw them. 3 days earlier, I thought they were just a gift. Let me back up. My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm 56 years old, and until recently, I believed I had a pretty ordinary life. Not exciting, not tragic, just steady. I live in Northwest Ohio, on the quiet side of town, where the houses all look like they were built by the same tired contractor sometime in the late 70s. Aluminum siding, short driveways, lawns that turn brown every August no matter how much you water them. I work as a facilities supervisor at a regional hospital. That's the title they give you when you're the guy who makes sure the building doesn't fall apart. Boilers, air handlers, doors that won't close, lights that flicker at the worst possible time. I've been there 22 years, long enough that people stop seeing you, and honestly, I liked it that way. That Tuesday was my 56th birthday. No party, no dinner reservations, no balloons. Just another workday. My wife, Karen, forgot until almost noon. She apologized when she remembered, but the moment had already passed. That sting stayed with me longer than I expected. At work, the maintenance guys surprised me with a grocery store sheet cake and one of those oversized cards everyone signs but nobody really reads. Someone wrote, "Don't die on us," in blue ink. I laughed because that's what you do. I told them I'd gotten a package that morning. That got their attention. The return label had Lauren's name on it. Lauren is Karen's daughter from her first marriage. She's 32, smart, organized, always moving like she's running 5 minutes behind a schedule only she can see. We've never been close, not hostile, not warm either, civil, polite, the kind of relationship that exists mostly in shared holidays and short conversations. Seeing my name in her handwriting felt nice. Unexpected. Like maybe I mattered more than I thought. Inside the box were the earbuds. No brand I recognized, plain white, lightweight. A note sat on top, written neatly in black ink. Thought these might make work a little easier. Happy birthday. That was it. No jokes, no emojis, just that. I stood in the kitchen longer than I needed to, holding them, feeling a small, quiet warmth settle in my chest. The next day, I brought them to work. I hadn't even paired them yet. I just wanted to show the guys. Lunch break in the maintenance room, the smell of reheated leftovers and burnt coffee hanging in the air. "Look at you," one of them joked, trying to be young again. "Should have bought you a walker," another added. I laughed and told them they were from my stepdaughter. That's when Mark leaned forward. Mark is about my age, former Army Signal Corps before he ended up in hospital maintenance. Quiet guy, the kind who notices when a machine sounds off before anyone else hears it. He picked one earbud up, turned it over in his fingers. Then the other. His smile disappeared. "Where'd you say you got these?" he asked. "My stepdaughter," I said. "Why?" He didn't answer right away, just stared at the plastic like it had bitten him. "Dan," he said quietly, lowering his voice, "you need to take these to the police." I laughed without thinking, reflex. "What, you think she put a bomb in them?" Mark didn't smile. "I think they've been messed with," he said, and not in a good way. Something in my stomach dropped, not fear yet, more like the feeling you get when a machine makes a sound it shouldn't. I stuffed the earbuds into my jacket pocket and finished my sandwich without tasting it. That night, the sky over Toledo hung low and grey, one of those winter stretches where the sun feels like a rumor. Snow along the curb had turned black from road salt. My boots crunched as I walked to my car. At home, Karen was watching television. I almost told her. Almost. But I didn't want to sound paranoid. I didn't want to accuse her daughter of something I couldn't even explain yet. The next morning, I drove to the county police precinct on my lunch break. The waiting area smelled like burnt coffee and disinfectant. A small TV in the corner played the weather on mute. When Detective Collins came out, he looked like a man counting the days to retirement. Calm, tired, not easily impressed. They didn't ask many questions. They took the earbuds into a back room. I sat alone, listening to my own breathing. After a while, I heard a faint electronic sound through the wall. A steady beep. Beep, beep. Detective Collins came back with another man, younger, tech-type, glasses. Collins placed the earbuds on the table between us like evidence in a courtroom. "These aren't standard," he said. "They've been modified." My mouth went dry. Modified how? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he asked, "Where do you usually wear them?" The answer hit me harder than the question. At home. In the car. On walks. During phone calls about money, about health, about retirement. The tech guy cleared his throat. "Audio pickup," he said. "Location pinging, remote activation." "So someone could hear me?" I asked. Collins didn't sugarcoat it. "Yes." "Don't confront anyone," Collins said. "Act normal." Normal. Driving back to work, my hands shook on the steering wheel. I thought about Lauren's handwriting, her polite smile at Thanksgiving, how easy it is to hurt someone when they want to trust you. That night, I placed the earbuds on the kitchen counter and stared at them. They looked harmless, small, innocent, but something had already shifted. I didn't shout, I didn't call anyone. I decided to listen back. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined hearing static, breathing, a click that didn't belong to the house. Karen slept with her back to me. The alarm clock glowed blue, 2:14:3:02:437. By morning, the fear had settled into something heavier. Vokers. The kind you get when a boiler fails in January and panicking only makes it worse. At work, I went through the motions, inspections, paperwork, jokes about the Browns losing again. It all felt like acting. Mark caught my eye near the loading dock. He didn't say anything, just nodded once. At lunch, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Mr. Mercer," a voice said, "this is Detective Collins." I stepped outside into the cold. "The modifications weren't random," he said. "Whoever did this knew exactly what they wanted." "What does that mean?" "It means they weren't listening for gossip." The wind cut through my jacket. "They wanted your routines," he continued, "your habits, your vulnerabilities." "Why?" There was a pause. "That's what we're figuring out." That night, I did something I'm not proud of. I put the earbuds on. They fit easily, light, comfortable. I walked through the house talking out loud, about dinner, about the furnace, about nothing. Then I sat at the kitchen table and said clearly, I should probably look into changing my beneficiary. I waited. Nothing happened. The next morning, Karen showed me a text from Lauren. "How's Dan feeling? He sounded tired last time we talked." Karen frowned. "That's weird. I haven't talked to her in a week." My chest tightened. At the precinct that afternoon, Collins listened carefully. "Hear what you need to understand," he said. "If you confront her now, she'll deny it, and whatever she's planning will go underground. So what do I do?" "You observe," he said. "You document. You let people show you who they are." That night, I made a decision that scared me more than the truth. If someone wanted to listen to me that badly, I was going to give them something worth hearing. If you've never been watched without knowing it, you don't understand how loud silence can be. After the police confirmed the earbuds were altered, every quiet moment in my life changed shape. The house didn't feel haunted. It felt occupied, like someone had pulled up a chair just outside my field of vision and decided to stay. Detective Collins told me not to confront anyone. So I didn't. That was harder than it sounds. Anger wants motion, it wants release, but panic makes noise, and noise makes mistakes. I'd spent my career fixing systems by slowing them down, not rushing them, so I treated this the same way. I observed. I documented. And I waited. At work, I stuck to routine. Same parking spot, same lunch time, same path through the mechanical floors. I joked with the guys, complained about the coffee, signed off on work orders like nothing was wrong. That was the part that scared me most. I was good at pretending. Mark watched me closely for the first few days. He didn't push. He didn't ask questions, just stayed near enough to notice if something changed. One afternoon, while we were checking an air handler, he said quietly, "You still wearing them?" "Sometimes," I said. He nodded, "Just don't forget why." I didn't. At home, Karen grew quieter. Not suspicious quiet, not guilty quiet, more like confused, like someone sensing tension without knowing where it's coming from. One evening, while we were folding laundry, she said, "Lauren asked if you've been forgetting things lately." I kept my hands moving, folded a towel slower than necessary. "What did you tell her?" I asked. "That you're fine," she said, then hesitated. "Mostly." Mostly. That word stuck with me long after we went to bed. I started wearing the earbuds more intentionally. Not all the time, just enough to keep the illusion alive. I talked out loud the way I always had, except now I chose my words. In the car, I mentioned paperwork giving me headaches. In the kitchen, I muttered about how confusing insurance forms had gotten. Once, standing alone in the garage, I said, "I'm glad Karen handles most of this stuff now." It tasted like sand in my mouth. But the responses came. Sometimes within hours, sometimes the next day. A text from Lauren asking if I needed help. A call checking in on my stress levels. An offer to come by and organize things. She never mentioned the earbuds. She didn't have to. The first real crack came in the mail. A plain white envelope sat on the kitchen counter, half buried under grocery flyers and church announcements. The return address was from our bank. Karen hadn't opened it. She never did. Bank mail was always my thing. Inside was a confirmation notice. An upcoming appointment. A home equity review. I stared at the date. I hadn't scheduled anything. When I asked Karen about it, she hesitated, just a fraction of a second too long. "Oh," she said, "Lauren asked if you'd talked to the bank recently. She said interest rates were changing." That was all. She turned back to the sink. I didn't say anything. Not yet. The next morning, before work, I went down to the basement. The furnace had been rattling again, which gave me a reason, or at least an excuse. While I was down there, I opened the old filing cabinet, the one with the bent drawer and the smell of dust and cardboard. Tax returns, appliance manuals, insurance paperwork. Then I saw it. A folder that didn't belong. Too new, too clean. Inside were printed documents. Templates, really, legal language that looked official without quite being official. The words jumped out at me. Power of attorney. Capacity evaluation. Guardianship petition. My hands went numb. I sat on the basement steps and read every page. There were notes in the margins. Lauren's handwriting. Short, efficient phrases. Forgets dates. Confused about finances. Doctor visit soon. Doctor visit. This wasn't just about money. This was about control. About taking away my right to speak for myself and replacing it with paperwork and a smile. I thought about the earbuds again, about the things I'd said while wearing them, how easy it would be to clip together a story of decline if you had enough audio. Upstairs, Karen called down, asking if I'd fixed the furnace. In a minute, I said. My voice echoed back steadier than I felt. At work that afternoon, I went to my office and shut the door. I called Detective Collins. He didn't interrupt while I explained. When I finished, he let out a slow breath. This isn't uncommon, he said. What makes it dangerous is the timing. Audio surveillance plus guardianship paperwork is a bad combination. So what do? I asked. You keep doing exactly what you're doing, he said, and you don't sign anything. That evening, Lauren came over. She brought dessert, store-bought, still in the plastic container. Karen looked surprised, so did I. I was in the area, Lauren said, smiling too wide. Thought I'd check on you. I'm fine, I said. She tilted her head. Mom said you've been tired. Karen frowned. I didn't say that. Lauren waved it off. I just worry, at your age. There it was. Soft, casual, wrapped in concern. We ate in the kitchen. Lauren watched me more than her food. She asked if I'd been dizzy, if work was stressful, if I was keeping up with appointments. I answered honestly where I could, vaguely where I couldn't. All the while, I could feel the earbuds warm against my ears. After she left, Karen said, she's just trying to help. I know, I said. But I didn't believe it anymore. Over the next few days, I fed the line carefully. I talked about memory issues, about paperwork being overwhelming, about how it might be nice to have someone else handle things eventually. Each time, Lauren reacted. Sometimes too quickly. Once I said out loud in the car that I'd almost forgotten to pay the electric bill. That scared me. That evening, Karen asked, "Did you pay the electric?" "Of course," I said. "A second too late." She frowned. "Lauren mentioned something about you forgetting bills." That was proof. And something worse. Karen was in the middle of it, whether she knew it or not. I didn't sleep that night. Not from fear. From the weight of what I was doing. Lying on purpose, manipulating my own family. I kept telling myself it was necessary. That didn't make it feel clean. The next morning, I sang. Loud off-key. An old folk song Mark used to hum. I sang while tying my boots, while getting the mail, while walking down the driveway. I sounded ridiculous. At noon, Lauren called. "Dan," she snapped, irritation slipping through the mask. "Are you okay?" I smiled alone in my office. She hadn't asked if I was okay. She asked that. Oh. That's when I knew. This wasn't about concern. It was about control. Doubt crept in at night. I worried about what this was doing to my marriage, about whether winning would cost me whatever was left of it. But every time I hesitated, I remembered the earbuds on the table at the precinct. How easy it would have been to keep wearing them forever. Never knowing. I didn't find everything all at once. It came in pieces. The way bad news usually does. One afternoon, I drove to the bank on my lunch break. I didn't accuse anyone. I asked polite questions, the kind that sound harmless. The loan officer confirmed someone had called asking about my eligibility for a home equity line. Not me. A woman. She said she was helping her stepfather manage finances. Did she have authorization? I asked. He shifted in his chair. She mentioned you were considering it. Mentioned. Not provided. That was enough. I went back to work and shut my door. I called Collins again. This is escalating, he said. Keep records, everything. That night, Lauren emailed me. Subject line, next steps. She suggested a meeting at the bank. Said it would be easier if we all sat down together. Attached a list of documents I should bring. At the bottom, almost as an afterthought, I talked to Mom. She agrees this is for the best. That was it. That was the proof. I forwarded everything to Collins and to the bank's fraud department. This time, the tone changed. Meetings were scheduled. Not the kind Lauren expected. Karen cried when I told her the truth. Not loud sobs. Quiet tears that soaked into her sweater. I didn't know, she kept saying. I know, I said. But knowing didn't undo the damage. The night before the bank meeting, I barely slept. Not from fear. From the weight of what was coming. Public moments change people forever. In the morning, I dressed carefully. Clean shirt, old coat. Nothing dramatic. I put the earbuds in my pocket one last time. I wasn't going to need them anymore. The bank conference room was smaller than I expected. No wood paneling, no drama, just a long laminate table, a wall-mounted TV that wasn't turned on, and a pot of coffee that had been sitting there long enough to burn. The kind of room where people sign papers they don't fully understand and tell themselves everything will be fine. Lauren arrived first. Grey blazer, hair pulled back, leather folder tucked under her arm like armor. She didn't look at me when I walked in, just nodded like we were coworkers waiting for a meeting to start. Karen came in last. She looked tired, smaller somehow. She sat beside Lauren, hands folded tight in her lap. I took the chair across from them and set my coffee down. I didn't say a word. A woman named Ms. Morales introduced herself as the bank's investigator. Calm voice, professional smile. Detective Collins sat off to the side, notebook closed, watching. Ms. Morales slid a stack of papers across the table. Not toward me. Toward Lauren. Before we begin, she said, we need to clarify a few things. Lauren smiled, of course. You initiated these calls, Ms. Morales said, tapping the top page. Requested account details, scheduled this meeting, correct. I was helping my stepfather, Lauren replied smoothly. He's been overwhelmed. She glanced at me, just long enough to sell the story. Ms. Morales turned a page. That's interesting, because Mr. Mercer hasn't signed anything authorizing you to act on his behalf. Lauren's smile tightened. I was just gathering options. Detective Collins leaned forward for the first time. Options usually don't include misrepresenting someone's mental capacity. The word capacity landed hard. Karen looked up. What? Ms. Morales slid another folder onto the table. The templates. The notes. The handwriting. Karen's breath caught. Lauren, what is this? It's not what it looks like, Lauren said quickly. Mom, I was just planning ahead. Planning what? I asked quietly. No one answered. Ms. Morales pressed a button on a small recorder. There's more. My voice filled the room. Unsteady, hesitant, talking about forgetting things, about needing help. Lauren's face drained of color. Where did you get that? She snapped. Detective Collins answered, from the device you gave him. He placed the earbuds on the table, right in the center. For a moment, no one moved. Lauren stood abruptly. This is ridiculous. He's twisting things. He's always hated me. I stayed seated. I don't hate you, I said. I trusted you. That did it. Her composure cracked. Words spilled out fast, about stress, about debt, about how hard it was to watch someone decline, about protecting her mother. Karen stared at her like she was seeing a stranger. Collins let Lauren talk herself out. Then he said calmly, you altered a device to monitor him. You contacted financial institutions under false pretenses, and you prepared documents to assume control without consent. Lauren laughed, sharp and brittle. You can't prove intent. Ms. Morales slid one final page across the table. An email Lauren had sent days earlier. Once he signs, everything gets easier. He won't even realize what he's losing. Silence. Karen covered her mouth. Lauren's shoulders sagged, just a little, enough. Ms. Morales closed the folder. This matter is being referred for further investigation. Any attempt to contact Mr. Mercer regarding his finances or health will be considered interference. Collins stood. Miss, I need you to come with me. Lauren looked at me then, really looked. You did this, she said. I met her eyes, calm, tired. No, I said, you did. She left without handcuffs, but the room felt heavier after she was gone. Karen cried quietly. I didn't touch her. I picked up my coat. The earbuds were still on the table. I turned them over once. Then I left them there. Outside, the wind cut across the parking lot. Snow drifted against the curb. For the first time in days, my hands were steady. The house felt different when I got home. Same walls, same couch, same ticking clock in the kitchen. But the air was lighter. Karen didn't come home that night. She stayed with her sister. I didn't stop her. Some things need space to be understood. The weeks after moved slowly, but clearly. I met with a lawyer, updated documents, changed passwords I didn't remember setting, closed accounts, opened new ones. At work, life went back to normal. Boilers broke, doors stuck. People assumed the building just worked. I didn't mind. Mark clapped me on the shoulder one morning. You okay? Getting there, I said. He nodded. That was enough. Karen and I talked eventually, not all at once, not in one dramatic conversation, just pieces, over coffee, over laundry, over the quiet tasks that still needed doing. Some things didn't go back to how they were. Some things never do. I stopped using wireless earbuds. Went back to the old wired ones, the kind that tangle in your pocket and tug if you move too far. They remind you that connection has limits. Sometimes late at night, I think about how close I came to signing my life away without a sound. No shouting, no struggle. Just paper. I used to believe danger announced itself. What I learned at 56 is that sometimes it arrives wrapped in birthday paper with a smile. So if this story made you pause, even for a second, pay attention to that feeling. Trusted. Ask questions. Protect yourself. Because the quietest thing in the room is often the most dangerous. And sometimes it's listening.